Today on TWiP Apps, we look at a way to find any of your photos from any of your devices. Have you ever wanted or needed a photo on your iOS or Android device, but knew that it was stored on your Mac or PC and had no way to get to it? Whether you're on the other side of the house or the other side of the world, today's app, Younity, will allow you to find any photo, file, video, or song on any of your computers from any of your mobile devices. I'm Photo Joseph, and this is TWiP Apps. Welcome back to another episode of TWiP Apps. I'm your host, Photo Joseph, and today I'm happy to welcome my newest guest, Eric Casso, with a company or product called Younity. Eric, welcome to the show.
Hi, Joseph. Thanks a lot for having me.
Great to have you on here. So tell us very briefly, kind of a top-level overview, an elevator pitch. What is Younity?
So in its most basic sense, Younity is access to all of your content. If you're like most people, you probably have a couple computers, smartphone, tablet, probably a variety of devices that you use to stay connected all the time.
Sure.
And if you're anything like me, your content, your photos, music, videos, and files tend to get scattered across all of these devices, and accessing them on demand is quite tricky. Younity connects your devices together so that they're always sharing their content. You don't have to upload, you don't have to sync, you don't have to do anything except grab your mobile device, your smartphone or your tablet, open Younity, and have access to everything across every device all the time. All of your music and your music libraries, all of your photos and photo libraries, your whole video collection, and all of your documents.
Wow, that's a pretty good pitch. I think if I was in that VC meeting, I would have said sold.
I hope it goes that way.
That's awesome. Okay, so give us a little bit of background to the company itself. It looks like you're a bit of a startup there. How many employees do you guys have?
We're about 26 people right now. We've been building Younity for the last few years. It was really born out of necessity, quite frankly. Yeah. Like a lot of people, I had this problem. I regularly found that when I was in the office or traveling, I used my laptop. When I was at home, I used my big iMac. And on the street, of course, I used my phone. And I ran into this problem and finally got so fed up with it that I was ready to do the unthinkable, and that was just pay to have something solve it. So, of course, I went to online storage, which seemed like the logical way to go and get it fixed.
Sure.
But lo and behold, online storage wasn't really designed to solve this problem. It's really about files and folders. And of course, most of our content is media. It's music, photos, and videos. And storage wasn't really intended to solve the problem for that type of content or the volume of content that we have. So once I finally realized that it wasn't a matter of just throwing money at the problem, I ended up having to start a company.
You throw some code at the problem, as it were.
Exactly.
Right on. So your role is the founder then. Are you an engineer as well?
No, not an engineer. I've done product design through most of my career, so I've always been working with users or developers or designers to sort of take new products to market.
Sure.
So really, I guess I just became motivated.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's it's great motivation. I mean, like you said, it is a problem that we all have. There's no question about that. And I'm sure every single person listening to this show has had multiple experiences where they really want to grab that file, that image, that song, whatever it might be, and it just isn't on the device that they have in front of them. So very exciting. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing this. So we're going to go ahead and switch on over and just take a look at it. And we're looking at this today on an iPhone, correct?
That's right. So Younity runs on iOS and on Android. You first install the desktop software on your Windows or Mac computer. You can install it on as many computers as you want. Doesn't matter how many you have, or if they're totally different operating systems. In this case, we're looking at my iPhone. I have 5 computers on my Younity account. So there's 3 Macs and there's 2 Windows computers. But the first thing you'll notice is that when we look at the main menu here, I'm not choosing between one computer or the other. So part of the secret sauce, if you will, that makes Younity, at least in our opinion, so useful, is that it takes all of the content you have and puts it into one UI. So you can see that I can browse my content by music or by videos, photos, or files. So if I, for example, select the music view, it is going to show me all of the music that I have, but it maintains the sort of browsing experience I'm accustomed to through iTunes. In fact, this has merged my wife's iTunes account and my iTunes account, as well as all of the music not in iTunes. So if I select an artist, I could sort of browse through all the different artists we have, regardless of whether it's on my computer or her computer, or anything of that nature. We can go through the videos. So when you hit
play, if you hit play on a song there or on a video, where is that host file lives wherever it originally lives? So it lives on your computer, your wife's computer, and you hit play. Is it then going to be pulling it from that source in real time?
That's exactly what it does. It streams content from where you store it. So, we've gone to great lengths not to be a storage company. There's a lot of great storage companies out there, and part of our business is integrating with them. Most of the storage people obviously have is on their computer. So we focus on making sure that if you have content on your computer, we'll build a streaming service from your own devices. So in this case, when looking at my videos, I'm able to have my own private Netflix with all of the home videos or movies, TV shows, or even the GoPro video that I have. So I can easily discover it across all my computers, stream it just like I would with a Netflix-like service. So I can still browse my content in these ways that I'm accustomed to, but I don't have to worry about synchronizing it to my phone or downloading it. I can still stream it in these sort of easy, on-demand sort of ways that are more familiar to us these days.
So I'm sure a big question people are going to have is bandwidth requirements. Since you are streaming from your device, from your home computer or wherever it might be, what kind of bandwidth do you recommend users to have to have a really good positive experience with Younity?
Well, that's a big part of what we try and take care of for our users. So a lot of the intellectual property we've developed is to make sure that we can optimize the content for the device. So and that may be actually by format or by bit rate or the bandwidth that you have. So for example, on iPhones, I believe there's about 4 types of audio that the default player is able to play. So if you have, for example, FLAC files, because you're really into high quality lossless music, you're kind of at a loss, no pun intended, using an iPhone because you can't play that type of audio on your iPhone. So what Younity will do based on how you decide to have high quality music or low quality music, which is a setting we offer our users as a part of the premium features we have, we can decide, should we transcode this audio file for format so that it's compatible with an iOS device? Furthermore, should we transcode it for bitrate or quality? If you're on your home network, we probably don't have to worry about that. But if you're, let's say, on your cellular network and you're in your car and you want to listen to some of your music, that's probably a greater concern. So we'll optimize the content for the type of network connection you have and for the type of quality that you prefer.
And so that optimization is happening on the host computer where the file lives?
That's right. So one of the benefits of having your own private streaming service is that all of these devices are dedicated towards your usage. So if any of us are familiar with, let's say, watching a video on Netflix during peak periods, sometimes it takes quite a while. And that's because a lot of people are hitting Netflix's servers. Mm-hmm. In our case, the only person that ever hits your devices is you. It's a private personal cloud, if you will. So in that sense, Younity is very, very fast. It starts playing videos in maybe 3 or 4 seconds, starts playing songs in maybe 1 or 2 seconds. And this is even in the instances where you don't have that much bandwidth. Maybe you only have a few bars in your cellular connection, but not a very strong LTE connection. Mm-hmm. We still optimize the stream to make it so that it'll start playing immediately and you get sort of that sense that the content is actually on your local device.
Wow. So it's doing real-time encoding essentially from the computer, from the source, with your Mac or your PC, real-time encoding from that and then uploading over the network to your phone.
That's right.
Slick. Very cool. Good. All right. I wanted to get some of those questions out of the way because I know that's, as soon as we saw that, I knew that's what a lot of users are going to be asking, what the bandwidth requirements are and how it works. So thank you for getting into all that. All right. Go ahead and continue with your demo.
Yeah, so in this case, we're in the videos view. So we can browse videos by all of the video content you have. You could look at your movies, your home videos, things that you shot, for example, with your camera or maybe your smartphone, TV shows, and even your GoPro. So one of the things that we do in GoPro, I think, is somewhat emblematic of this, is we want to make it so that you can discover your content. A lot of people use special devices like a GoPro to create certain types of video content.
Sure.
I'm using my smartphone when it's stuff that, quite frankly, is not that important. I maybe use a GoPro when I need something that's a bit more durable. But I use my DSLR if it's something that's really, really important. And I think what we found from our users is that we have these devices because we use them in different contexts. But discovering that content is quite hard. No one wants to go look for img_2513.jpg. We go and we browse things in a library-like way. So, by selecting the GoPro view, what we do is as we analyze all of the content on the devices you install Unity on, we find the content that you've created with different devices. So we extract that the device that created this file was a GoPro. And we're able to dynamically build a library for you to view just that content, which of course is going to be quite different than from, for example, the movies that you have, to where we can, then show you all of the movies you have across your different computers.
So if you shot with another camera, like a Canon DSLR or a Lumix camera, would you see those listed in here as well? Or is that going to get lumped under the movies?
Right. At the moment, we don't do that. We're exploring sort of this, the way that we can create new libraries dynamically. It's a big part of what Unity is doing is it's not just discovering all the content, but we want to make it more accessible for you.
Right.
And, in a lot of cases, what that's about is being able to create a library dynamically, being able to search for specific types of content that you haven't yet searched for. If it's a photo, maybe you haven't built a Lightroom collection or a photo album, but you want to find photos from your last vacation in Hawaii that use facial recognition tags from one of your children or something like that. So in the near-term roadmap, part of what we're doing is increasing the capabilities of this. The GoPro library creation, where we build that library dynamically without you having to do anything, is one of the first steps in that direction.
Okay, got it. Okay, thanks.
Sure. So, and of course, there's the photos view. We'll spend a bit more time in that in a second. And then the files view. And the files view is something that allows you to sort of see all of the folder hierarchies that you're familiar with across your computers. For example, if you use Windows Explorer on Windows or Finder on Mac. So specifically to the photos section, though, where we should spend most of our time, is two main ways that you can view the photos that you have across your different devices. We'll start with maybe the less important one for our conversation, and that is uncategorized photos. If I go into this all view for uncategorized photos, Unity is showing every single folder on all of my computers that have photos. It doesn't care about music or videos or documents or anything like that. These are only the directories that have images, and of course, I can go into each one of these, and look just at those photos.
Okay.
So I obviously have a lot of photos outside of the photos view or the photos libraries I have. And this is a way, if you use a lot of folders and files or that hierarchical file view, that's a good way to navigate. But the top three that you see here, Apple Photos, Lightroom, and GoPro, are really about creating libraries to access things easily. Now, these don't show up if you don't, for example, have photos created with a GoPro, or if you don't use Lightroom or have it installed on one of your computers, or likewise Apple Photos. Apple Photos is something I'm not too familiar with. My wife uses it on her computer. But what I can, open up is, sort of see recent photos. I can go and look at, the different albums that she's created or what she has that's uncategorized. Probably go to somewhere I'm a little bit more familiar, for example, with Lightroom.
Okay.
So what this does is on my iMac, I have, a decent sized Lightroom collection. And I mostly keep things in folders. So we have folder integration where we can let you browse by all of the things that you might have organized. In my case, I keep holding areas to where there's a lot of unedited photos and things like that I have not yet processed. I can come back here and I can go into collections that I have. So we integrate with sets and with collections. Right now, we don't do smart collections. That's something that's on our roadmap.
But you do collection sets. So if you have a collection set and 20 collections inside of it, you'll be able to drill into those.
Correct.
Okay,
right.
Great.
So this is one. This is a collection for Francesca. So I'm using meta tags to where I identify one child with the other or both of them. I'm able to quickly open up the collection. Grab the photo. So this is shot with my 7D Mark II. This is a RAW file. Takes a little longer when we're streaming a bunch of video and things like that and doing an interview. But very quickly I can discover, individual photos that I want. we get to maintain that sort of familiar sort of, swipe interaction that we have that you're accustomed to, let's say using the Photos app on your phone. So I can, quickly swipe between these. It's predictively loading the next photo.
I was gonna say, it looks like it pre-cached the next one. That's great.
Right. So as I go into each one of these, it's you can see if I do it quickly, it might be waiting to grab the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And if what I want to do is perhaps share this with somebody, if I look at the bottom of the screen, I can either use the button on the far left, which will let me download it to this device. I can share it with some of my friends, or in a lot of cases, what I want to do, and I think this is something that our users that are photographers are really big into, is I want to take high quality photo that I don't shoot with a smartphone, that I shoot with a DSLR, and I want to be able to open it in Instagram or in other photo sharing apps like VSCO. Of course, these apps don't let you natively upload photos into those social networks from your computer. So
Right.
one of the things that our users really implored us to do was, if I've got this on my phone, how can I get my best quality photography into my social networking profiles that I
Very
want?
cool.
So very easy sort of, one-click upload of photos from your computer, your highest quality photography, into your favorite social network.
So in the case of the file here you pulled up that was a raw file, let's say you had made adjustments to that in Lightroom, you've cropped it, made color corrections or whatever. At that point, obviously, it's no longer a raw file that you'll be looking at. So Lightroom has the ability to generate previews of different sizes. Is that what Younity is looking for? It's going to grab that preview file?
So it does grab preview files. There's a limit to the number of edits that you'll create if you're using a version of Lightroom that hasn't sort of created a preview file that has all the edits in it. Obviously, those edits are stored in the sidecar file.
Right.
And Younity is not an editing app. It's an access app. Right. So if you've output, of course, let's say a final copy to a 16-bit TIFF or something of that nature, yes, we absolutely see everything that you've done to it. But we're not going to in real time render the edits that you've made to, let's say, exposure, saturation, or contrast, or you've changed it to be black and white or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in real time going to apply those edits into our views.
But if Lightroom already has saved a preview file, which is its default, by default it's going to generate a preview file. Are you able to access that preview file, or are you only accessing the original source file?
We're in real time thumbnailing the photos that you have. So we're not taking Lightroom's previews. We're taking the ones that we grab off of the raw file.
Off of okay, so you're pulling it off of the source, the original
Correct.
file, not the
Correct.
edited. Okay.
Yeah, and so looking at the preview file that Lightroom creates, we're constantly looking at Lightroom and how we improve the integration we have with it. Of course, it is a third-party integration, so Adobe sort of changes it at will, which is entirely within their discretion to do. So oftentimes we're playing catch-up. It's sometimes difficult for us to follow all of the new features that they have or things like that, which is in the same sense why we're still looking at how we integrate with smart collections as opposed to just standard collections are created, because in the sort of guts of Lightroom, they work a bit differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Alrighty.
So in a nutshell, that's sort of how Younity works. It's really, gives you the ability to find the content you want. You can change the ways that you view it. So you can change your filters for sorting. You can select files to download them or share them with friends. But in its, very basic sense, Younity is really about giving you access to the content that you have, even if that content is spread across a whole variety of devices, and those devices in and of themselves are very different, like Windows and Mac.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about all these devices that can have content. You mentioned you have an iPad, iPhone, you've got your Mac, your PC, and so on, your Android device. Let's say that I've got a picture on my iPad that I want to access from my iPhone, and my iPad's obviously not available to me. Presumably that iPad would have to be unlocked, though, to be able to access that data. I can't just reach in and get to it while it's locked or asleep.
So content on mobile devices is a bit different than content on your computer. Not to use a bunch of technical jargon, but mobile devices are not IP addressable, meaning that we can't connect to them like we can with a computer, for example,
Right.
a laptop or a desktop. So right now, we don't connect mobile devices directly to one another. What we're looking at in the next few months is taking the content on those mobile devices, we'll automatically synchronize it back to the desktop or laptop computers that you have. So you could say, I want, for example, my iPad videos to be on my desktop computer. I want my iPhone photos to be on my laptop. We'll put all of those there for you so they're accessible. You can also free up the storage that's on your mobile device because If you're anything like me, it's those files that really take up all of the space on it. So I can't even get movies or music onto my mobile devices.
Sure.
Between videos and photos that I take, and then all the apps that I download, that's really sort of hogging up all the space. So in that sense, what our goal is to sort of take that content that is very difficult to get because it's on a mobile device, put it on a device that we can always generally get to, and then make it so that you can get it back on your mobile device while freeing up all the storage that it typically would take up.
Okay, so that's on the future roadmap. That's something you're hoping to.
Yeah, that'll be something that comes out this year that we're looking at sort of slating in the next couple of months.
Okay, great. Are there any other features you wanted to show me inside of the app?
I don't think so. I think we sort of ran through these. I mean, I think the sort of benefit of using a product like Younity is its simplicity. We've taken a lot of steps to make it so that you don't have to do a lot of things. You don't have to configure anything on your home network or open ports on the firewall or do things on your computer that make it so that it works. You don't have to tell it where your files are or what types of files you care about. Installing Younity on your computer takes moments. You log in, it goes and discovers your content. If you have a lot of content, we've done some work with photographers that have just vast quantities of content. Some is just quite shocking. Sure. It of course takes a lot longer for it to index all of it. If you have an old computer and a ton of content, it might take a while. If you have a new computer, not very much. It takes no time whatsoever. So most of us, of course, fall somewhere in the middle. But more or less, you install Younity, it discovers all of the content, indexes it. When you open your phone or your tablet, it becomes aware of your computers and lets you access that content on demand.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about the platforms that it does run on. So you said it's on Mac and Windows, iOS, and Android. Is there a dedicated iPad version of it as well as the iPhone version?
Right now, the iPad version is just a larger UI for that is similar to the smartphone version of the UI. So we're looking at doing something in the near future that allows us to sort of take advantage of some of that real estate. So it'll be more media-centric, like grid views or tiled views, so you can see larger format previews of all the content that you might have, things of that nature. In the near term, part of what we're looking at expanding the feature set within Younity is bringing in more and more metadata about some of your content that you might not actually have. So a lot of people, when it comes to music or videos, there's not a lot that describes the content they have. So in the case to where it's music, we can go and bring in artist imagery. If in the case of movies, we can bring in descriptions or other types of imagery. So, we're working at giving, I think, that more robust sort of premium sort of UI that you get when you're using products like maybe Spotify or Pandora or iTunes.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. Cost. We haven't talked about cost yet. What is the cost of the product?
So there's always a free version of Younity that we've built sort of with the idea that you can casually use Younity at no cost. But we have a set of premium features that really increase the capabilities of the product.
Okay.
And to have a premium subscription, it's $3 a month. In the very near term, we'll be adding annual and lifetime licenses.
Okay.
But for the moment, it's an in-app purchase. It's $3 a month. If you upgrade to the premium version, you get a free week trial. After that, of course, you have to pay $3 a month, or later it'll probably be $30 annually, or for an introductory period, probably $36 for a lifetime license.
Oh, wow.
So for the price of 1 year, you get Younity forever. You can install it on as many devices as you want, but the benefit of the premium features is that we provide what we call smart streaming. So it's those features that will optimize the content to maintain quality if you go from, let's say, a small screen to a big screen, or if what you want is to maintain the highest quality of your audio so that it's not just optimized for remote access when you're out and about in your car or on the street. Premium features also give you the ability to download content to your device. So if you're going to be without an internet connection for some period of time and you want to download, let's say, albums for a flight to listen to, or maybe movies for you to watch while you're on a plane. That's also a premium feature. And then, of course, the last one, and perhaps the most important, is the remote access capabilities if you're on different networks. When my phone and my laptop are on the same network, they connect to each other directly. And that obviously provides, a very optimal user experience. It's almost like everything is on my phone. There's no lag or anything like that. But as soon as I go to other networks, for example, I'm at my friend's house on their Wi-Fi network, and I want to stream a movie, let's say, to their Apple TV, but the movie obviously is back on my home, on my iMac, on my Wi-Fi. That would be a remote access feature, and that is also something that is a part of our premium feature set.
Okay, fair enough. Well, at $3 a month, that's hard to beat. So that's it's certainly worth all those features. And yeah, like you said, if you want to give it a try for $3 a month, you give it a try for a couple months. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But that's a bargain, I think.
It's a big deal for us to try and make Unity a really efficient product. We've gone to great lengths really to make it easy to use. We've also built it very, very efficiently. So we're trying really hard to keep it as being a lowest cost option in the market. There's a lot of things that it does that simply have never been done for, like unifying content across the different devices that you have. Yep. So we go to great lengths to make sure that it's easy to use and that it's affordable. And over the next probably 2 or 3 months, we should see those premium features go from 3 features to 6, maybe 7 features pretty quickly. So we're actively building it. Our team is growing. We've got great feedback coming from our users. And it really helps us make sure that we're building the product in the right direction. All of the premium features, quite frankly, come from our user feedback and sort of how they're using the product and what they think are the things that they want to pay for. So hopefully we get that right. It's always a little hard to make sure that you're getting it just right based on that feedback, but we're trying pretty hard.
Yeah, well, you can't please everybody, and you do what you can. But that's awesome that you're listening to the users and integrating the features that you can. That's very good to hear. I know for a lot of users that is a very nice thing to hear. You deal with some of the larger companies, and obviously your voice is one of millions, and the idea of you getting a feature in that you want to see is virtually impossible. But working with smaller companies, smaller product, it's nice to know that you are listening to the users and able to put in the kind of features that people are actually asking for. So,
I think that's a lot of the fun, in building a company like this. I mean, first off, everyone at this company is a user, right? So it's nice to wake up and sort of, be building a product that you yourself want to use.
Yep.
But we get to have these great conversations, whether it's with professional photographers that, prior to us having Lightroom, I mean, that's really sort of the source of that feature was people saying, look, I need to carry around my portfolio with me. I've got this beautiful iPad with a Retina display. Help me out. All my stuff's, not just in files and folders, it's in collections or photo albums or things like that. So how can we get our high quality photos on this high quality display to sort of show whatever it is that, opportunistically we're able to show within our portfolio.
Right.
A lot of photographers would tell us that they're going to, let's say a meeting, and part of their portfolio they didn't think was going to be relevant ends up being what closes that deal.
Sure.
And this is sort of that on-demand access without having to plan ahead, without having to know, I better bring, print copies of specific parts of my work, or know that I'm going to have access to, certain parts of it and upload it or put it on the site or things like that. So It's very secure and it's very fast. We never upload it, so we don't have copies of the content. We can't do anything with it. It's a secure way of sharing content because we don't let people keep your files. Everything is encrypted. So, in that sense, we've really built it around, I think, the concerns that people who are, sort of, pay their bills with the content that they create, the content creators out there, they find that really, really important for them, which is different than maybe the enthusiast who's sort of, point of view with the content that they create is a bit different.
Right, absolutely. Well, that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up because for a lot of users, privacy is, of course, a concern for everybody, or at least it should be a concern for everybody. And knowing that your files are not stored in some mysterious cloud that maybe somebody mysteriously has access to, maybe the government can say, you have to provide access to these files and you have nothing to say about it. In this situation, your files are on your computer. No one has access to it. You have complete privacy and security there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was, from day one, I mean, we've always been security and privacy conscious. It was from the very beginning. We wanted to have something that we felt comfortable with. But quite frankly, as an entrepreneur, the last thing I wanted to have to do was secure everyone's stuff, right? We don't want it. The moment we have it, we have to secure it. We have to make sure it's safe. And quite frankly, prior to working on really fun consumer technology like this, I actually worked in the enterprise software world and worked in the information security industry, started actually an information security company prior to this. And I can tell you it's somewhere between difficult and impossible, much closer to impossible to secure everything. So we just didn't want to have to even think about this. It was almost, the biggest driver was, CYA. We didn't want to get in trouble for when something goes wrong. And in that sense, there's a big benefit to us around that sort of philosophy. But of course, it's directly passed on to our users that who also have that content. We've gotten a lot of emails from a variety of parents that have, asked, look, I've been burned by Facebook or Flickr or other services that I use where they changed their privacy settings. I had all these photos that I shared and now they're public, right? What are you guys going to do with my photos when I'm accessing them? And it's like, we can't do anything with them. We don't know what our users do because everything's encrypted. We don't know what anyone has. I mean, forget getting hacked. If someone was to go into the data center and steal the servers that Unity runs on, we don't have anything. The most we have is an email address, which is your username for your Unity account.
So when the data is transferred, is it peer-to-peer or is it passing through servers in some way, some of your servers in some way?
So it depends, right? If I'm on a local network, or a LAN as it's called, and my computer and my phone, for example, are on the exact same Wi-Fi network, it's directly between those two devices. They connect to each other, and there's no sort of third parties involved. But if I go on, let's say, a remote network, or I'm on, it's called a WAN, right? So I'm here at work, for example, with my phone, but the content is on my home computer on a different network. We're going to transfer your content one of two ways. We attempt peer-to-peer. So that's our favorite way of doing it. We built a pretty robust peer-to-peer framework that lets us do that without the users having to, like I said, configure their firewall, their home network, or do all of this sort of tricky stuff. But there are things that sort of trip up peer-to-peer, right? If you're at work and your company has these really robust firewalls to where they secure everything, they're not going to allow peer-to-peer connections to exist. In those instances where peer-to-peer fails, we use what is called an HTTP relay server. This is basically a dumb server, and all it does is broker connections between devices. But those connections are SSL, they're encrypted on each end, right? So the traffic that goes through our relay server is encrypted at the beginning and is decrypted at the end, so we can't see it. It's basically sort of the insurance policy for our users to say, if for whatever reason you're at work or there's some strange networking issue, we can't have a peer-to-peer network. We'll use our relay as sort of the backstop to make sure that you always have access to your content. But even in those instances, it's impossible for us to see what's going through the relay servers. We don't know which users are on the relay servers, or what the content is, whether it's a photo, a video, or a song or anything like that.
And it's not stored anyway. It's just passing through. And once
that's right. We never store anything. We don't have metadata. We don't have files. We don't have anything about our users' content. It's impossible for us to know anything about it. If the fate of the world depended on us knowing what's going on, let's say with a user account, the world's in trouble. We just don't have any information.
That's great. That's great. And like you said, plausible deniability and CYA. That's a good way to handle it. It's not in your hands, so you can't do anything about it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. In today's day and age, you hear more and more security issues, more and more problems like this, more and more things of people who shouldn't be poking around where they are. It's good to see this type of approach. I like it. I like it a lot. So, very good. Excellent. Well, thank you for giving us the demo of the product. Before I let you go, though, one more thing I have to ask you. When you do download one of those pictures from your home computer onto your device, what app do you want to edit it in?
Mostly VSCO Cam. That is probably my favorite photo app and sort of posting medium. What I like about it is it's this element of just higher quality photography. It's this sense of maybe fewer filters. Maybe just the focus on the image itself. So that if I'm using a photo app, that's probably it.
Probably it. Cool. Yep. VSCO is awesome. I love. We were debating this before the show. Is it VSCO or Visco? I don't know. I always said Visco, but yeah, that's a beautiful app, and I love working with it both on the iPhone and on the iPad. It's a good one. So nice choice. Nice choice for you. Right on. Well, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and let you go now. I appreciate you coming on the show, and we will, of course, be promoting this far and wide, and hopefully get you some new users from this.
Great. Thanks so much. It's a free download. Just go to www.getunity.com.
Very good. Sounds good. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Joseph. Bye-bye.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is Younity. It is clearly an awesome product. This is something that if you have media on your computers at home or at the work, at studio, wherever they might be, that you want to access no matter where you are, this is the way to do it. I love the privacy issue of this, the fact that there is no way for someone else to like you said, hack into their servers or steal their servers and get your files because they just don't exist there. And the encryption all the way through is a very nice thing to see. I would like to see, of course, a native iPad app, and I think the biggest drawback right now is in Lightroom, the fact that you're not going to see the edits done in there. As Eric said, there are issues with trying to access the files through Adobe's structure and the way that they provide access to them. But hopefully that's something that they can figure out, because obviously if you're going to be accessing your pictures that you've worked on in Lightroom, the fact that you've worked on them is what makes you want to get to them, and you want to be able to see those final renders without having to actually render out a picture, put it on your desktop or somewhere else so that you can access it later. So that, I think, is going to be a critical point for a lot of people, but hopefully that's something that they can work out, and we can get some conversations going with Adobe to make that happen. Otherwise, that is it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. That does bring us to the end of another episode of TWiP Apps. I'm your host, Photo Joseph, and you can find me on the socials at Photo Joseph, as well as on my website at photoapps.expert. And a special thanks to Eric for coming on today. That was fantastic for him to come on and give us that great demo. Really appreciate it. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and to visit our website at thisweekinphoto.com, where you can sign up for our email list to be notified of new episodes and to get exclusive subscriber bonuses. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you're watching on our website, you can subscribe to the show using the subscribe box on this page. If you have feedback, suggestions, or comments about the show, you can reach me, Photo Joseph, directly by using our contact form. Just click on the Contact Us menu item at the top of our webpage. And finally, if you're a developer and would like to be a guest on the TWiP App Show, click that same Contact Us button at thisweekinphoto.com and let us know what you've got. And with that, it's time to put your lens cap back on and go edit some photos.